Newman. Newman. Newman! Hello, Newman. And that's Ty Dillon. Finally, after almost several fucking weeks of trying, I lost fucking count. That I finally caught up on the the Ryan Newman and Ty Dillon installments of A Million Little Things Season 4. So, first off, the perfect way to begin this reaction video in two things. One, there's 2 life lessons we learned tonight. Sometimes you gotta let people make their own choices and decisions, even if you don't agree with them. Second of all, the second life lesson, if you really love someone, you always gotta be there. You just gotta be there for them. So, and another thing, Elizabeth Ann Green, you're the GOAT and one of my ultimate favorite actresses, but now all of a sudden you're cussing in the shows you're on, let alone cussing in general. That's a little loca if you ask me. Or, hold on. That's a little living la vida loca if you really ask me. God damn. I had to. Me encanta Ricky Morty. So, let's get into it. Let's start with the Newman installment. The Little White Lies. I mean, I thought there was gonna be some heated discussions and some like melees and tantrums and throwing hands and fist flying Jerry Springer, all the lies that were being told. I thought Cam was gonna go off on Gary because I thought he found out about. I should have known this was like a Pinocchio type of episode. It was like the Pinocchio episode from, I think it was earlier this season with the whole Peter's condition storyline, but this was like not as like severe, not like as not as extreme of a storyline, even though it does have the Pinocchio similarity of Pinocchio in general, lying and shit, but I'm surprised cooler heads prevailed in that scenario. And then, of course, but I'm surprised that Cam was okay with, when Maggie breaking up with him to go back to Gary. And that happens to people. Sometimes you get if you're with somebody, but then all of a sudden you see another person of the opposite gender and you get attracted to them. That just proves you want to be with them and you like them and you don't like the person you're with no more. It's happened to me twice now. And when I was with Janet, I saw Margaret and I got attracted to her, fell out of love with Janet, forcing me to leave her even though Janet was already doing things that made me very unhappy anyway. So good riddance to that cunt. But and then again with Margaret, even though she was leaving anyway, she was leaving anyway because, lack of listening to her staff, why did turn the workplace into a dating service to see me, to see me. At least for doing this, she was a good girlfriend. She was a good girlfriend like Janet. She was a good girl. Only problem is, even though she was about to leave anyway, I was getting attracted to a girl that I saw at the bowling alley that goes to the learning farm named Haley. And so I haven't had time to tell her how I feel because I haven't been back to the bowling alley since I had a bowl on the opposite side of where the learning farm is at the last time I was there. And so I was kind of sad and I really wanted to tell Haley how I felt. And this is what I mean. When I went the last time I got to the last time I was there before the trip, the last bowling, not the last bowling trip, but the one before that, I went to give her a hug because I was excited. I quickly we quickly clicked just like that, and so I went to hug her calmly. She bear hugs me, and we're hugging. I'm letting go. I want a quick one. I want to start play. Actually, no, I didn't bring socks. I just wanted to still sit and relax. But then here she is hanging on to me and not wanting to let go. Which is something normally I would do when I hug a person I love. But I haven't stopped thinking about it since then, considering I was sitting with her, sitting with her side by side. I asked her, hey, Haley, do you like me? And I don't know if she was scared to tell me or just, was, giving me a legit different reason. Saying, no, Mark, I just like hugs, that's all. But I think I could tell in the tone of her voice she was a little nervous, didn't want to tell me because I like her. I like her a lot the same way Eddie likes Anna now. So you know what I'm saying? So, that I wanted, been told all my life about telling a girl I like them in a romantic manner. My peers have said it themselves. You got to tell them how you feel, whether you want to go, start dating the person or don't want a relationship no more. Like the two ends of the spectrum. Like even my mom told me when I was getting attracted to Margaret, I ignored Janet's calls for a week. My mom told me to tell her without bringing Margaret up, I didn't want a relationship no more. And that way she would stop calling and blowing up my phone, whether it was at an inopportune time or not. I did the damn thing. I ditched her like she deserved, and Margaret came to me. Then here comes Haley. I'm getting attracted to at the bowling alley, but then Margaret got the Crystal Jenoff treatment. Her being pulled out of the, how that was my first girlfriend I ever had in that building. Back when it was EOVC in the 2015-16 season, pre-pandemic. She was having these kind of like a Margaret type of meltdown, so that's why her mom pulled her out. So I blocked her and her whole family on there, and I kind of like how I blocked Janet's number. And I'm so glad in Margaret's mom, I never added Margaret's mom, Melissa, on Facebook. I will be honest, I just would have been a wasted fucking opportunity, and it threw all of our shit Janet and I had. I threw all of our shit away, the same way she threw me away. So. This is, giving me a lot of this show's recent storylines was giving me a lot of Vietnam flashbacks and PTSD to all my recent relationship troubles when it looked like after all the pre-pandemic girlfriend trouble, even with Helene, even not only with Janet, but or with Margaret, but even with Helena, I was living it up and everything was going perfectly. Even the loose cannons era started, in 2017-18, I was living it up. And then, with Janet going before the pandemic and during the pandemic and like in the, the start of this new Triad ViaQuest era leading up to this current era, how we were living it up. But then, things started to go downhill with how horrible she was being, upsetting me, calling me at inappropriate times, calling my mom at inappropriate times, doing the stupid bullshit of repeating the same 3 lines over and over without giving a shit, that she was annoying me. Looked like she's going to get off the phone during a phone call. And then I'm about to hang up and she's about to say, she just keeps talking. I'm like, oh my God. And not only that, even when it was a non-inopportune time, she was very demanding in a way, like, she wanted to talk to my mom, and I get it, you want to do something with me, that's what boyfriends and girlfriends were doing, but the thing is, you're kind of calling me at a good time, but you want to reach out to my mom at an inopportune time for her. She's just getting in the house from getting home from work, so let her catch her breath, gather her thoughts, and relax for 5 minutes. And I tried to tell her that, and she just kept saying, no, I want to talk to her now. I was like, what the fuck, bitch? Come on. And then what was the other thing she did that upset me? Oh, yeah, do you remember that date night vlog I did at Applebee's during that rainy-ass day? I think it was Rob Riggle's birthday or something, but I wasn't thinking about that day. And then later that same week on April 27th, it was like 80 degrees and sunny. Even when we skipped right over spring into summer weather last year, the weather was bipolar. Well, she ordered a drink that, she was afraid that she wasn't supposed to have, and I get it. You don't want to break the rules. You want to follow them, and, you want to make sure it's okay, check with your staff, but that's not something my mom can control or I can control. You don't need to keep, telling her about it 50 times over and over. I do remember, even though luckily I didn't record that part, I just sat there in absolute disgust, shaking my head, thinking, why the fuck did I even did I even decide to like this girl in 2017? Why the fuck did I choose to date her? It's like, Jesus Christ, no wonder nobody at the fucking workshop liked her bitch ass. It even got to a point where she went to the bathroom, not to use the bathroom, but to call her chef. But it was like, who the fuck does that? Who does that? Stuff like that is why I got rid of her, along with the fact that Margaret was attracting me anyway. So, good riddance. So, therefore, Margaret was, trying to turn the workplace on dating service. I get it. It's, she wants attention. All boyfriends and girlfriends want attention to each other. I mean, I get it. It doesn't matter the kind of, the the sexual orientation of the couple, whether it's male to female, male to male, female to female. I get it. You want attention, but there's a time and there's some places is not, sometimes it's not, there's some places and sometimes it's not the time nor a place to get that kind of attention. So like, for example, work is not the time nor the place to do that all the time. Every once in a while it's fine, but she was making it, I think it was the 11 visits in one day after my birthday is kind of what got them to tell her, "Don't, you're making this a habit, so you can't go over there at all because you visited him too much." So that's why. And plus, Haley was attracted to me anyway. So when we go back to the bowling alley next week, I am going to tell her how I feel. So yeah, so that's another. Yeah, that's one. Yeah, that's one take. This show's storylines about love and everything. Making decisions and being there for people is, giving me a lot of helping me a lot, trying to find the right woman. So anyway, but I can see why Sophie doesn't trust Gary after, trying to make her sexual assault from the local counterpart of real life Andrew Leeds, about him. I get it. He feels bad that, he sexually assaulted his friend's daughter when his friend has been dead since day one of the show, and his wife was away in France, starting a new life and trying to relive her childhood. I get that, and I get Sophie's even mad at Delilah after all this drama that's been going on for season 2 or 3 seasons. But to be fair, the only reason why Peter took advantage of Sophie because Gary, if you recall, in that season 3 episode where they were in the empty ass auditorium, he gave her all the information he needed to go for him to groom her successfully. So I know what Peter did wasn't okay, but it was Gary's fault that even happened anyway. And he was trying to fix something that he unintentionally caused. I mean, he still caused it, whether it was intentional or not. And I thought there was going to be some Booty Barker action from The Price is Right with, Cam and Gary, but, Cam accepted it. He didn't really get mad that Maggie lied in the Johnny Benson installment, I think it was, the surprise episode, where we had that little banger reaction video with Living La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin, written by Robbie Draco Rosa and Desmond Child. I get that. I get, he didn't want to, hurt his feelings. I get that. I used to do that too when I was a kid. I would lie so, one, so I wouldn't get in trouble right away. 2, I wouldn't hurt no one's feelings right away. But the truth is, even if it hurts somebody's feelings, you always got to tell the truth. The truth will set you free. Even if it may hurt people's feelings, but at least it won't get you in as much trouble as it would if you actually would have told a blatant lie the first time, causing everybody to believe you until they find out the truth, that you lied this whole time. But for Sophie, I'm glad, these comedies, I always talk about how all the comedy shows, have all these problems in the middle, that were caused by happy stuff that happened in the beginning, but in the end, they always talk it out. But these dramas, the way they do it is different, They always have their problems, in the beginning, and then, they, before the end, because usually the episodes of these drama shows ends in cliffhangers, they talk them out in the middle. And then the end has the cliffhanger, just when you think we're going to get a happy ending. Shows like The Big Leap, that was a combination of comedy and drama, it could have gone either way. It could have gone either way with, the comedy setting of having problems or the drama setting of having problems between characters. So, we saw that tonight with Rome. And Tyrell, I get it, his his bad experience in school kind of, almost fucked up Tyrell's opportunity, and I'm glad he apologized to him for it, And what else did we see in that Brian Newman installment? I'm going to go back and take a look at the tape. Okay, now let's go over this scene here. When Sophie showed up to the door, not knowing that Gary and Maggie were back together, knowing that Gary, of all people that she was back together with, and, considering she came over to her, say, I'm sorry about your breakup, and she didn't know it was Gary. Honest to God, I thought it was Cam that was going to come to the door looking for a Jerry Springer, Maury Povich, Steve Wilkos fight or some shit like that. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. And it was nice to see, Sophie's band girls there again. Jenna and what was her name? So Morgan happened to be the other girl with Jenna that was in Sophie's band. And, the part where Theo came home early, that, like, faking being sick, fearing that, his mom was going to pass out again, or, he thought he was something like that was going to happen to him. I could sense the fear, because if I was 12 years old now, I'm not in 2006, I would feel the same way. I remember almost crying in 2011. Even though I was like 17 years old and I lived in Brook Park in the Sandhurst house, when in the like a week after and like a few weeks after my sophomore year of high school came to an end, I got horrible news. My dad passed out at work, and when he was admitted to the hospital, and his sister, my titi Nancy, my only living godmother, posted about the Alaveras family group, I was reading about it and I could not help but start crying. And then it was crazy, considering a few weeks ago when I fell asleep in my mom's bedroom, I had a false awakening that I thought I was waking up for real in the middle of my sleep. Here comes my mom in the bedroom crying, with my grandmother in pursuit, and telling her she was crying is like in this false awakening head. She told me because my dad had died in a fatal car accident. That automatically made me start crying too, because if that happened for real, I would react the same way. I wouldn't even say anything. I would just start crying in a split second like that, because I'm scared of losing him because of it, because of that happening. You know what I mean? But my grandmother told me, when you dream about somebody dying, a family, a friend, or a general loved one, it brings some good luck knowing they'll help them live longer than they should. So my dad should live a long time, and it's good luck to him. I told him about it, and I told him that what my grandmother said, and he was like, blessed. He said, "Thank you, son." But I mean, I don't think he said like that. He's like, "Wait, thank you." I said, "Why, thank you." But the way he said it was like, "Thank you, son." Now let's look at more of the tape from this Ryan Newman installment and see what we can analyze here. All right, so therefore, when Gary, told Dan, since Danny was in French in this Ryan Newman installment and didn't get back into town to the Ty Dillon installment, I'll get to describing this scene in a minute, but when everything was going according to plan. I thought for sure it was going to be where Gary forgot something and had to turn around and go back. And even though he thought he had everything, but Danny told him asked him if he had something that he thought he forgot. And then he saw Milo with another boy. And so therefore he didn't want to say anything. And, I get why, Pinocchio, but when I talk about the Ty Dillon installment, you'll know how this turned out in the end. Now, for this scene with Catherine and Greta, when Theo finally met her in person after the freak accident in the Brett Bodine installment, which was in the office area over there in the studio by the TV where I normally watch all the live airings of my shows in NASCAR and Spurs games. I thought Theo was going to disapprove because, I thought, considering, he was going to go off, considering that he wasn't used to his mom being with somebody else that, of course, was not his dad, but also someone that was of the same gender as Catherine. So I'm glad he approved of it. And, it's like you would think the worst out. You think you're going to get a worse outcome in a scenario. These scenarios like these, we get the best instead. But when you think you're going to get the best scenario, you're going to get the worst instead. Now, what else is there to take away from this episode? Okay, so I had much more time to take a look at the Ryan Newman installment tape, and I love the bond that Regina and Ronald, her dad, had. Even if, there was some little, minor head bumping in the middle. But again, it's another scenario where the dramas work their problems out in the middle, considering it's a 1 hour show, it's a 60-minute show, not a 30-minute show, like say the Goldbergs or American Housewife or anything like that. And this scene right here was powerful too. Same thing. What we saw with Roman Tyrell, and we saw with Regina and her dad, and then we saw with Sophie and Eddie. Eddie and Sophie got into a little starting match. Also, kudos to David Gentili and the GOAT Elizabeth Ann Green for giving me PTSD to the season 2 mid-season finale, where I had the Dale Earnhardt song with the smashing guitar reference. I like that. DJ Nash, did you come up with that shit? If so, that was very wise, like Dale Earnhardt Jr. And as I always said, you can't spell Budweiser without being wise. They were talking it out, and that's when, Eddie tried to give Sophie the guitar. And then, of course, you were at the very end where Sophie, Elizabeth Ann Green let out her second cuss word, her second time cussing with the same word. And like I said, that's a little loca, Elizabeth Ann. That's a little loca. Now let's talk about the Ty Dillon installment, as my camera's low on battery, so I need to hurry this shit the fuck up. Okay, I think I watched this episode a lot much later than the previous one. Let's take it away. So, how I said, the problems, working out, between, they work out their problems in the middle rather than the end, since it's a 60-minute show and not a 30-minute show, because 30 minutes is comedy, 60 minutes is drama, and sometimes dramedy. Well, I can't believe Milo heard Gary talking about dumping him Gee, I didn't know Milo had good ears. Either Milo has good ears or Gary's apartment has thin fucking walls. And, of course, he probably said one of my favorite dirty words of all, douchebag. That's Gary Mendez for you. Or, and also, Gary, just a word of advice. I want to warn you, like Ward Burton, and I don't know if James Roday, your portrayal to this, don't erase the word douchebag from the vocabulary. Instead, upgrade it from douchebag to cheating McDouchebag, because that's what James Harden is, and that's who the Houston Rockets are, no matter who's on that team. The cheating McDouchebags, which is a term invented by one of the greatest NASCAR YouTubers of all time, Kamikaze Games. Oh, hail Kamikaze! But anyway, I can understand why. This is where the life lesson comes in, where, if you love someone, gotta be there for them, and people let people make decisions, their own decision, if you don't agree with it. So I know Gary was trying to help, considering, he thought Milo was bad, but I guess Danny's a forgiving person, just like, so just because he's moved, Danny's more forgiving than Sophie when it comes to, how they handle stuff in the show throughout the years. Danny got over, remember how in season 2, Danny was able to quickly get over, Delilah being, going behind her dead husband and their dead father's back, would just cheat on him with Eddie. And, Danny got over it like a month later, and Sophie needed more time. And Sophie eventually got over that. Look at that. Her and Eddie are cool now. Now, on the other hand, he wanted to believe Gary was right. I mean, Sophie was right about Gary. But for Danny, of course, he talked it out with Gary, and it was fine, considering, it was, maybe for Sophie it's not, for Danny, it was just heat of the moment, and, needed some time to die the situation down. He needed a little time to the situation, and he forgave him right away for that scenario. And he even said it himself. For Sophie, it's going to take a while for her to get over it eventually and be able to be cool with Gary again. If it worked for Eddie, then it's going to work for Gary too. Now, for Jane, Jane and Nick, I thought Nick was happy to get rid of her because I'll get to that part in a little bit. I want to go to talk about what led up to that. So, apparently Jane did not agree with what Maggie was talking about abortion. And I don't give a shit about abortion. And I mean, not that I don't give a shit about, all this stuff that happens to women. I just don't give a shit about these kind of topics, like political topics in general, because politics are fucking stupid. It can go kick rocks as far as I'm concerned. But in this show, Maggie wanted to, help that woman, and I guess Jane didn't like that, and then the boss didn't like how Jane felt, so therefore, when Maggie thought she was going to face the consequences that she agreed to face, he talked about it on the air, and I guess that boss, I will never see on camera, maybe we will before the season's over in 4 weeks, ended up firing her ass, and, Maggie was being polite, nice, wanted to get her job back, but, Jane said it was best for the radio network, and I guess Nick was kind of happy to get rid of her as the boss, but in a different manner. They used to date, as I read on the Million Little Things wiki. They used to date, and so he wanted to take her out on a random dinner date or something, which I thought was cool, And I'm glad Anna was able to, understand where Eddie, had putting his immediate family first, where his son needed to be there, and so even ex-wives and ex-husbands will give their ex-spouses, their, opposing ex-spouses, advice about their new lives, It would be like, I'm not going to get into my family's new life on social media unless, I'm close to the person. It's in the DMs. But anyway, I love that Catherine was giving, Eddie advice about his new life with Anna. So So, she told him, I get, Theo needed you and I kind of needed you, but go rock your new girlfriend's world, like Rob Riggle. I know she didn't say it like that, but that's how I would have said it. And they went over there and they just continued living it up like Haley Arancia, even though that's a Goldberg reference in a Million Little Things video. Now, I'm looking at the rest of the tape. What else is there to unfold? And I love how the fact when Gary and Danny were working out their problems, Danny was crying the whole fucking time. And when Gary was saying funny shit like he always does once an episode, it was making Danny laugh to the point where he was laughing and crying at the same time. And I've been there, done that myself. Where I'm already sad about something and I'm crying, and to the point where somebody makes me laugh to the point where I start laughing at the same time I'm crying, which is really fucking cool if you ask me. I mean, it doesn't get any fucking better than that. So what else is there to take away from this episode? Ah, yes, Rome's alma mater. As a former student himself, he should be very familiar with the many secrets this institution holds. Crash to Insanity, a reference from the Crash Bandicoot series. But anyway, that was one of my favorite summer games for this summertime only. But it was cool to see Rome go back to his old roots, and so the staff remembered him, and it was amazing that they treated him right, and I like that. Of course they had to treat him right. It was not like that season 2 episode, where the Howards, where that racist redneck boomer went and fucking attacked him with as a black man thinking he was being suspicious taking pictures of the players when he was only taking pictures of Sophie at base, because, they were practicing, if you recall, Rome and Regina were practicing for adopting a kid by using Sophie as the experiment, if y'all remember that. I fucking hated that boomer so goddamn much. That's what I call my Gary at work, my ex-boss, Gary Lyons, Mr. Labonte. Well, this Gary kicked this shit in like Ricky Rudd the same way he kicked Peter's shit in like Ricky Rudd the very next season. So I'm going through the whole rest of the episode. Is there anything else to take away? Let's find out. I'm fast forwarding it. I already talked about the advice part. Catherine and Eddie, with Anna. Hold on. Oh yeah, and Rome's alma mater wants to show his documentary and call that damn other redneck boomer the more well-known one out. And I know Rome is stoked to hear about it, and I look forward to seeing what happens in the Larry Foyt and Michael Waltrip installments. The Larry Foyt installment, see how with Tyrell and Rome supporting each other. Tyrell supporting Rome with his movie at that racist alma mater that sadly Rome had to deal with. But luckily he was not the only black person there, as you saw. That Washington guy and whoever else was there. And look at Regina and her dad working together and looking good. They make a good father-daughter business team. So, and I guess that's pretty much all to uncover, because I already talked about the ending scene. And was there a cliffhanger ending that we need to talk about before we wrap this up? Yeah, Maggie just wanted to have a baby, even though her cancer screening is next. So, I'm sorry about the damn hand. But that's all I wanted to come on here for, is talk about the Ryan Newman and Ty Dillon installments of Million Little Things. And it was a video to one of my favorite shows like no other. Behind the scenes look and breaking down every episode, every detail of every scene of both episodes, piecing together every information, what I thought. So, therefore, tomorrow we will react to the Larry Foyt and Michael Waltrip installments before we start, the Greg Booty Biffle installment on Wednesday night, after a little Goldberg's doubleheader with the Bobby Labonte installment on the DVR, and we do the Jeremy Mayfield installment after that, before the Million Little Things Greg Biffle installment. And so, after we catch up on Foyt and Waltrip and get through with Booty Biffle, all we gotta do is Kenseth, Labonte, Mayfield, and Stewart. Bam, we're done. And How many episodes left of the Goldbergs? Well, we're gonna find that out on Wednesday after we do the Labonte Mayfield doubleheader. So after today, all we got starting tomorrow is Foyt, Waltrip, Biffle, Kenson, Labonte, Mayfield, Smoke, Stewart, and boom, we're done. So can't believe the time has come. I'm praying we get a season 5. That way DJ Nash doesn't have to use his series finale scene, that he already has set up just in case, he decides to call the show quits, which I hope doesn't come anytime soon. And he said this is going to be the wildest cliffhanger that we're going to have in the history, even wilder than the Gary's Ricky Rudd shit kicking on Peter or Eddie getting hit by a car. It's like DJ Nash said, if you thought Eddie getting hit by a car was crazy enough, or Gary putting a bag over somebody's head and kicking the shit out of him like Ricky Rudd, not like that with the second part. His words, DJ Nash's words, not mine. Boy, these are going to be mind-blowing how much crazier this is compared to the other two. But I will see you all tomorrow for the Foyt and Waltrip installments. So have a good night tonight and a better day tomorrow. Life will give you a lot of lows, but when you hit a high, enjoy it. It ain't for the weak. Goddamn, be you. You have to try harder to do less. You can't deport a dream. Take care, everyone. Good night to all the millionaires in the AMLT casting crew out there. Tomorrow, I will catch up on the Foyt and Waltrip installments, and then I'll be back to live tweeting the new episodes with you to finish the season on Wednesday for the Booty Biffle installment with a train wreck of a team, the San Antonio Spurs, finally done for the year, thank God. So good night. See you later, everyone. Remember, life isn't one big thing. It's a million little things. Love each other. Live in la vida loca.
That's my boy.